Bole Baba Ki Jai. So it was in 1982, already after Navaratri, but before monsoon. It was getting hot, and Baba went on an unexpected yatra. We went to we went upstream instead of going direction Haldwani Gadkudam, and we didn't even know where we were going. But it was very nice and easygoing. There were Jamal and Lero went with us, but for the rest, I think no Indians and just some 15, maybe 20 Westerners. And we went on this trip where we didn't actually know where we were going, and I didn't speak much Hindi yet, so I didn't understand the conversations. Also, I think we were talking about going to Harital, which is a place like Nainital, but there is no roads there, so no tourism actually, but a beautiful lake up. But the program changed also. Anyway, we walked around and it was very cute and nice with Baba. It was an easy walk also. Baba was sitting sometimes on a horse and sometimes he was just strolling around. It was a leisure, long walk. And at a certain point the program had changed, and there was an open field where we were sitting and decided to stay there for the night. And people were not very well organized. We had just a blanket and no sleeping bags and I don't know, remember about toothbrushes and stuff, but it was all quite camping out. And but there was a little hut there which was arranged by a villager, and inside that hut, Leru and Jamo went to cook while we were sitting out there with Babaji, a bit of singing and a bit of darshan. And some people came with a question, just sitting together very calmly. And then he was called for his food, and I went with him, but I was still a bit timid in that period, so he went inside and I stayed outside waiting. After his food he came out, and I immediately took a lota to help him to wash his hand, and then he grabbed me by the arm and he carried me into the woods, but away from where everybody was sitting in the field and away from the kitchen. And I had no idea where he was going. I thought, oh, maybe he needs to pee or something like this, so I came with him, and then he faced me and he looked at me with so much love. There was no exchange of any word, and then he grabbed me by my shoulders and he sat me down. He sat down with me, and he was just staring into my eyes like, I cannot explain it really, like you do with your lover or with your baby, that you have nothing to say, but you just an open connection. But inside of me, I was from, what's he going to say, or what do I need to do, or I was not completely at ease. But also, even though I was quite used to it, but to get so much attention and so much deep looking into me, and it took minutes, which is very long with Baba, to a few minutes of total dedication to you. So I was wondering a little bit from, there are these people and there's the hut, and I didn't have a torch even to be there on that moment, and so we were just sitting there, and slowly maybe I was coming down a little bit. I don't really remember exactly some of these details. I remember I was quite busy with what do I need to do, and then after some minutes we just got up and we walked back. I've always been thinking of this moment because it was so beautiful, but I can't really attach any story to it. I can imagine a lot of stuff, but it's, I don't want to go into my imaginations or all that, but some transfer of something, or just a moment of sharing unconditional love, which I could not do completely because I was thinking I have to do something. But it was such a beautiful and somehow intimate moment that I've always looked for a message or something in this, but it was just beautiful as it was, I guess. Yeah, we slept out there in the field and we came back the next day to Haidakhandi. It was one long walk, a stroll in the park of the Himalayas. Yeah.
And now, 35 years later, do you have any more insight?
On this?
Mm.
No, it is one in the last months I've been thinking about this a bit more. And because many things of these 3 years that I was constantly with him, many things are also a blur, and many stories are coming up which I'm writing down a little bit at the moment, but no, I can't really. I still remember these eyes, and I still remember that I was so busy with looking over. Oh, there these people are sitting, and nobody sees us. We are just sitting here with the two of us, and do I need to do anything? No. I look at him. He doesn't demand anything. He doesn't want anything. He's just sitting there, beaming love. And but it's, as you can remember yourself, it's not so easy to be completely at ease with the Lord staring into you. However beautiful it was. No, I have no particular insights because I've been telling sometimes to some of my brothers and sisters this story, but it doesn't really come to any great conclusion or any great final message. No, there was just what it is, beautiful. And I didn't make anything else from it, but didn't create any castle on top of it. There were several of these stories where I had no idea what was going on, really. I was just in Haidakhandi. I was a month or 2 months, I don't remember, and I was selling already, sitting in the shop, and people were wearing these langotis, and I was even selling them, but they looked weird to me, so I'd never tried them, and but then they were telling me, that's really the way to go here in India. It's easy, and you wash, and you do, and it's all. So I thought on that day, okay, let me try one, and they were all there lying. Actually, there was only one left, and it was pink, but not that sadhu kind of pink. It was fuchsia pink, bright, shiny pink. But I took that one and went to the river, and it was monsoon, and but on that moment it wasn't too bad, and the rivers had gone down quite a bit, but they cut these deep trenches into the rocks. And so to go to take your bath, you had to step 2 meters down on the rocks like this, and I was sitting there and brushing my teeth and cleaning my nails and whatever, and all of a sudden Baba is coming from the gufa, from the other side, with a few Indian people and going through the river. But the river was also a bit turbulent still, what was there, and with these villagers, they were holding hands and making their way to the river, just close to where I was sitting. So I thought, oh, Baba, well, what can I do? Let me be helpful. I was fresh there, so I, not that I have a lot of experience at that point of how to move in the monsoon in the river, but I stepped into it with one leg, and I offered my arm, so when he would be at a certain point, he could have something to hold on. And he took it, but instead of me holding him, he helped me. He grabbed me by my wrist, and he came to the side, but he didn't let go. We walked up that steep slope with moving rocks, and he helped me, but he kept me there. And we were standing then by the side of the river, and the other villagers were there, and he started talking about me to the villagers in Hindi, and I didn't understand a word of it, and they were all laughing, and at a certain point all the attention went on my new langoti. And I could see because everybody was looking at it, and I was standing there. It was the only thing I was having on, and they were all laughing and pointing at the langoti, and Baba helped me, so I was just standing there a bit like a fruitcake, trying to understand what was going on, but feeling pretty ridiculous with all these men looking at my pink langoti at a certain point. In the beginning, I had not considered anything, but and then they were talking and talking and talking. I was just standing there, and then he took somebody else, one of the guys, his name is Ramlal, he was the guy who was taking care of the horses, and he told him to hold me. So, and then we started walking. I had all my things still there in the river, my whole bathing gear, but we all went in a group to the stairs, and Loknath came into the club, into this group, and he was also walking, who knew a little bit more Hindi than I did, and this whole story took half an hour. And there we were standing at the bottom of the stairs, still talking about it, and Baba joking about me, and Loknath was following the situation, and then he let go, and they were laughing, and they went up. I went back to get my gear and all that, and felt a bit strange about all of this. And Loknath told me the next day, Baba married you to this villager. So, I mean, I had no idea what happened. That pink langoti was never very popular with me. I left that thing, but I've never understood anything about it also. I just felt pretty ridiculous and the meaning of it. But Baba was playing a lot with marriages. I mean, my stories of marriages, I could fill quite a thing. I don't think I could do it in an hour. Even Devi, one day, I was only there for some months, and I made pranam one morning when Babaji was sitting in the garden giving morning darshan, and I made pranam, and while I was making pranam, he said, "Tomorrow, you marriage, Devi." Devi was that saintly looking nun sitting next to Babaji always. So she was also a good customer in the shops, but I had no real. She was not really a talker, at least until that moment. I had not spoken much with her, so I was a bit like this. And Devi said, "Yes!" And that made me even more surprised, because I'd never even heard her saying something enthusiastic in that months that I was there. So I sat down and I thought, oh, nothing is happening. Okay, and I just sat down and I was thinking about all this from Mary Devi. And I thought, well, maybe it is interesting. Maybe we will be monks together, of course, but I can learn Hindi, and together we can be around Babaji a lot. And I started to think or thought of things, and I was 26 years old. I mean, I was a kid, and so I see Gora Devi later, and I go to her and say, "So Gora, what do you think?" And Gora started laughing. He said, "Yeah, why not?" And but she was not being normal. I could see she was acting somehow, but I didn't know what to say. She was also a bit older than me, so I didn't know what to say. And I thought, well, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Well, nobody ever spoke about it again. Yeah. The most another beautiful story. It's not about marriage really. It's not my marriage story. It's about Hurak Singh, who was one of the Ganas, one of the really devoted English guy who was living always there. He didn't have to have a visa also. He was a very particular mind, but he was definitely 108% devoted. And couldn't connect very well with most people. And there was, because in that period there were about 10 people, maybe 15, who were there almost all the time. I mean, the people who were very often there. And another one of those was Margarita from Argentina. There was a woman. She was also 108% devoted when she would be there. She also lived a long time in England, and her English was perfect. Spoke very good English. And when she came also, she worked like harder than most men, whatever rocks or whatever is doing, sweeping, and always busy, always very... one day, Babaji says to these people, tomorrow, you marriage, you, Hurak Singh married Margarita. I don't think she has even an Indian name, because, and they are totally in surrender, so yes, Baba. So, but the next day there was something happened. They were called and they were dressed up and they were all, the whole makeup and the whole thing, and Baba organized a bandara and a fire and the whole thing, and we had all of a sudden a marriage totally unexpected. And these people just being very nice, and they went through it, total surrender. They knew each other, but I don't think they ever exchanged a lot of words, which was not that easy anyway with Hurak Singh. And in the evening, Baba had said, you stay in this, you can have this gufa. Next to the gufa of Prem Baba, there was this little gufa, and he said, you live there, you are yogis. And he said to Margarita, separate from Hurak Singh, he said, no, you live in that gufa and now you are married, but of course you live in an ashram, you are yogis. No sex. I mean, you live a pure brahmachari life and very nice in balance. Yes, Baba, yes. And on another occasion, that same evening, he called Hurak Singh and he said, good, you're married now. You're a man. And you have your gufa there, and now, tonight, you can show her that you are a man. So then they stayed that night in the gufa, and the next day, Baba sees Hurak Singh and he says, and how was it? Was it good? Did you enjoy? And Hurak Singh, no, Baba, no, she didn't want. She didn't want. What kind of a man are you? Come on, this is, now you're married, this is, no, you're, yes, okay, but tonight, yeah? And on another occasion to Margarita on the supper, he said, everything okay? He didn't try anything, did he? And she, no, well, he won, but no problem. Well, that evening, he was putting a little bit more attention and energy into trying to persuade her, but she was, no way. And didn't go anywhere, but he was a little bit, but the next day again, Baba was informing, and? Was it nice? Did you enjoy? No, she said, no. What kind of a man are you? Come on. Really pushing her, actually. And the same to Margarita. Everything is okay? Yeah. So it went on for a few days, making her feel Horak Singh really like a wimp, not a man. And to Margarita, pushing her in the opposite direction. After a week or something, it was physical fight. I mean, it was between them. Even Prem Baba came in between at a certain point because it was shouting and doing and it was, I mean, not too bad, but it was highly unpleasant and the tension was enormous. What we didn't know, because in that period, there was no people with radios or particularly on these world receivers, and there was no newspaper coming because you still had to walk from the dam site at that time. There was no electricity, and what we didn't know, that in that same period, in these same days that this was going on, the war between England and the Falkland Islands. Argentina wanted to have the Falkland Islands back, which is they kept by England. So they were fighting. There was a war going on. The Falkland War was just in those days. But we had no idea, actually. You wouldn't even know it if you would be living in Thailand, because maybe if you really follow the news, but particularly not in the Himalayas. But exactly, it is like Baba with his macro mini cosmos play, putting this whole thing together, while on the other side they were going with marines and ships and shooting and doing the same thing. Argentina, England, Margarita Huraxin. It's amazing. Their marriage never really became a success, but the game was incredible to realize this whole thing which Babaji was playing out. Yeah, the Lord of the universe. What can we understand?